Joining us now with more on this resolution, someone who wasn't just there when it passed, but was essential to getting it passed, RNC committeeman and president of Citizens United, David Bossie. David, you've got to tell us how it went down on Friday. You've been pushing this, getting people to co-sponsor it. Tell us about it.
It was really an outstanding event, a great meeting of the RNC out in Salt Lake City. And this was an overwhelming decision, and overwhelmingly supported by the men and women that are elected across the country that make up the 168 members of the Republican National Committee. And we had very few people who were opposed to this resolution. It's because what the January 6th Commission has become is not an investigation, but an inquisition. It is a star chamber that is a political cudgel for one purpose: to keep Nancy Pelosi in the Speaker's chair, and for Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger to be assisted in that instead of helping Kevin McCarthy become Speaker is outrageous. They are out there actively working against the Republican Party. And you know what? In this town, you don't get called out for it. And I said enough is enough. And we're going to put forward this resolution to make a statement by the RNC. And it was really wonderful to see. Now, obviously, there's an old saying, when you stick a pig, it squeals. Well, in this particular case, when you attack the darlings of the establishment, because if you're against the Republicans, if you're against Trump, you're a darling of the media. And so when you call them out, everyone comes to their defense. And it's not a surprise that some of these weak Republicans, some of these never Trumpers, what we call the dead enders here, they want to fight to the bitter end. Well, we're gonna fight them right along till the bitter end.
It's so huge because the RNC usually gets behind the incumbents to try to support the incoming next, whether it's in the House of Representatives or the Senate or even the governor races across the country. But to do this to Liz Cheney especially, because George W. Bush has given the maximum amount to her, Karl Rove, Mitt Romney, everybody's fundraising for Liz Cheney. I guess because they see her poll numbers and realize, well, money doesn't buy things. Just ask Jeb Bush.
Well, the best part is she has to fundraise from George Bush and other liberals because she's not getting any fundraising from inside the state of Wyoming.
Right.
No support from inside the state of the Wyoming. And that's what really is a difference maker here. Let me just say, the January 6th Commission is off the rails. There are no Republicans on that committee at this point now. It is 9 angry Democrats and no Republicans, and there are no minority members, no minority staff, no minority rights. So when you are brought before this committee as a victim of the committee, and that's why we're saying it the way we are, and that's why we termed it the way we did, is that they're picking on people who weren't there on January 6th. They were out living their lives. They were at meetings in Florida. They were wherever they were, but they weren't there. This is about attacking political enemies of Joe Biden's, of Nancy Pelosi's, and of Cheney and Kinzinger at this point.
It's just another witch hunt when you think what crazy Nancy did, not allowing Kevin McCarthy to actually put anyone on the committee. If Jim Jordan was on that committee, can you imagine Jim Banks? The people that would have, it would be over. But they are really, it's this cabal they're trying to harass people, and then they go to the lamestream media and they have their protection, the Lincoln Project. All of the rhinos are coming together, but they're such a minority. They're under 1% at this point. When you have the Republican Party condemning witch hunters in this strong language, saying they're going to pull funding, that's a message to all rhinos, including the Bush establishment. So for the RNC to do this, it really does separate from the Bush and Cheney establishment.
It really does. And let's just go back to your point, which was very important. Kevin McCarthy put forth 6 members of this committee because as his right as the minority leader in the House of Representatives, and Nancy Pelosi unilaterally which has never been done before to anyone's knowledge, said, I am not seating the members that you, the minority, choose. And then Nancy Pelosi, put Cheney and Kinzinger on this committee. That is the crux of this problem. Cheney and Kinzinger are acting as Democrats and at the behest of Democrats, and that is what we called them out for. Ronna, Chairwoman McDaniel has just been incredible in her leadership on this, and I commend her wholeheartedly because, as you said a moment ago, most of the time, we just look the other way. Leadership is about taking tough action and being a leader on issues just like this. And I have to say what she did, and we did it the exact right way too. I feel really good. And the grassroots, the base of the Republican Party, of the 75 million Americans, are with us, and that not with Liz Cheney and Nancy Pelosi.
When it was done by voice vote, are you able to say who were the ones that were the rhinos that didn't, or how many? Was it just a couple, a handful? How many actually were against what you all were doing?
Yeah, it wasn't very many, but that's okay. Look, when you have 168 people, you have 168 opinions, and that's okay. But we came together. And it was an overwhelming voice vote. We had a handful of dissenters, and that's perfectly fine that they wanted to do that. They had their own reasons or rationales. But I got to tell you, I was never prouder to be a member of the Republican National Committee. The January 6th committee is not investigating the violence of January 6th. They're investigating the political aspect of what they call January 6th and the aftermath, meaning, what did the White House do and what did they know and when did they know it? What did people say? Who was supporting the rally that took place beforehand? The electors that were in these states. That is the political discourse that we were talking about, not about the actual event, that took place. That's made up by the mainstream media. That's a narrative that they want to sell, that they can sell to a segment of the American people because they are the same ones that bought the Russian hoax and that President Trump was a Russian agent and it wasn't a perfect phone call, that they impeach him over. And look where we are today with the Ukraine. These are big, important issues, and the American people have their eyes open now, and they understand what's going on. So we're going to continue to fight, and we're never going to stop.
David, thank you for your leadership on this, really pushing this forward. It was about time something like this happened. They're not Republicans. They need to stop acting like they are to give them credibility. They don't even have credibility, but in the media, to even put the R after their names shouldn't be there because it isn't there. They aren't Republicans. David, you're a good Republican. You're an America First Republican. We'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Again, thanks for your efforts on this.
Thank you.